Welcome to Potty, April 17th, 2026.
Three stories caught my attention today that paint an interesting picture of where we're headed with AI and security. We've got Claude Opus 4.7 making waves, a serious vulnerability in EU age verification systems, and some fascinating developments in local AI capabilities that could change how we think about security testing. Let's start with what's happening in the AI space, because it directly impacts our field. So Claude Opus 4.7 is apparently here, and there's this fascinating comparison floating around, where someone ran Kenwin 3-Fury 5B-BD on their laptop and claims it drew a better pelican than Claude Opus 4.7. Now, that might sound like a silly benchmark, but here's why I think this matters for security folks. We're seeing these open source models that you can run locally starting to compete with or even outperform cloud-based premium models in specific tasks. What's really interesting about Code Twin 3.5b-3 is that it's being marketed as having agentic coding power now open to all. My take is that we're hitting this inflection point where the tools that can write code, analyze systems, and potentially find vulnerabilities are becoming democratized. When I see headlines about building Android apps 3 times faster using any agent, or Cloudflare launching an AI platform specifically designed for agents, it tells me we're moving into this world where AI-assisted security testing isn't going to be limited to big companies with massive cloud budgets. The security implications here are huge. If someone can run a capable coding AI on their laptop that rivals premium cloud services, that changes the threat landscape completely. Red teamers, bug bounty hunters, and, unfortunately, bad actors too, are all going to have access to these tools. The barrier to entry for automated vulnerability research just dropped significantly. And honestly, that's both exciting and terrifying, depending on which side you're on. Now let me tell you about something that should genuinely concern everyone. Security researcher Paul Moore just demonstrated how the EU age verification app can be completely compromised in under 2 minutes with nothing more than physical access to a device. And the attack method? It's almost embarrassingly simple. He showed that by editing the app's shared preferences file, an attacker can remove the encrypted PIN values, reset the rate limiting counter to 0, and disable biometric requirements entirely. Once that's done, the app just accepts a new PIN and grants access to the existing age verification credentials. Think about that for a second. This is supposed to be a system that protects minors online, and it can be bypassed by editing a config file. Paul Moore had already done analysis of the open source code, so this wasn't even a 0-day discovery. The problems were sitting there in plain sight. My read is that this represents a fundamental misunderstanding of the threat model. What really gets me about this EU age verification vulnerability is that it assumes the device itself is trusted. But in the real world, kids share devices, parents hand over phones, and physical access happens all the time. The fact that you can completely compromise the system by editing a preferences file means they treated this like a user convenience feature rather than a security control. It's like putting a lock on your front door but leaving the key taped to the frame. Here's what I think ties these stories together. We're in this moment where AI tools are becoming incredibly powerful and accessible, potentially giving both defenders and attackers new capabilities. But at the same time, we're still seeing basic security failures in critical systems like age verification. The contrast is striking. We can run sophisticated AI models on laptops that might help us find complex vulnerabilities, but we're still shipping apps that can be defeated by editing a text file. My takeaway is that we need to get serious about threat modeling and secure development practices, especially as AI makes both attack and defense capabilities more democratized. The EU age verification failure shows what happens when we don't think through real-world attack scenarios. And with these new AI coding tools becoming widely available, the pace of both vulnerability discovery and exploitation is probably going to accelerate. Do your own research on these developments, especially if you're involved in building or securing applications that handle sensitive data.